soft and the harder pastel together. I'm going to take a little bit of my very bright pink in the harder pastel and just bring it through here, just to blend. You see, I'm just only tickling the surface of the paper, just to blend this colour in. Look at that beautiful effect we can get. The warmth of this sky, even with such a huge sky, you can start to get these lovely effects here. Coming down right into here. And I'm going to take a little bit of cream and bring that through the bottom of the sky here. Give a slightly more creamy turquoise look to it down here. Right down into there. At any time, if you're not happy with it, you can come back and blend more colour over. So I'm just going to bring that down and through and in. And then I'm going to come back with my very light blue again and just come over that. And just let that go over the top so it's nice fresh pastel. You don't want too much of the... You see how we get those beautiful effects happening through here. I want to start getting a slight effect of clouds happening into here. And there's some very light... What's happening there? There's some very light pink cloud. Just blend it in, coming up into here and through the background here where the mountains are going to come through in just a moment. So this is on watercolour paper, and again, you don't have to just use pastel paper for everything. Use just bits of cloud just coming through here and just tickling the surface of the paper now to get these effects. Little bits of effects of just soft cloud coming up into the distant horizon, through here. I'm just tickling across the surface and blending back a bit and letting it come through again. So I'm softening and making harder edges at the same time, letting these little bits of cloud come up into the height of this sky. Not a much lighter pink. I'm going to take some slightly brighter, lighter pink here and just let that come over the surface here. Just it comes up into the sky. Again, just the edge of the pastel, nothing too much, just little hints of it coming through. There's an awful lot of sky in this. Perhaps a tad pinker there. A little bit warmer. Coming up into here and down here. So look at that lovely soft effect we can get with that. And we're going to work our way down. We've got this lovely, I'm going to rub that back in a bit more now. We've got that lovely pre-painted blue showing through here. I'm going to come in a little bit more strongly with it and just rub that right in as a background hint of colour there. It comes down into these trees. Right down into these trees that we put with water and pastel. And you can see how you can graduate the amount of colour I'm putting in by just blending it gently into here, right up where the mountain comes behind here now. Graduating that in, letting it just blend into the distance and down and through here. Right down through, you've almost got the mountain range there already, look. Right down through there, it comes through into the trees, here. Now, things in the distance are normally bluer because of the haze in the atmosphere and water droplets in the air. We go warm, cooler, 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 unless it's a sunrise or sunset, and then it's the opposite, cooler, warmer. So my colours are going to go bluer into the distance as I go back here. I want a slightly deeper, stronger blue now, down here, coming into these bits here. So I'm working with my mid-tones through into a little bit of darker tones now. As I come down into these trees, just using my finger, a cotton wool bod on a stick, for, an ear bud, is a good idea for this, because you can use that very finely to just blend your colours down here as well. You can see I'm making this darker, warmer blue work down here as the mountains come forward. Let's stop at that a minute, go back to those mountains. We want to use a little bit of very light pink now to start feeling the mountains, the shadows of the mountains coming down here. Just over the surface. I'm not going to blend this at all, because now I've done all my blending, don't have to do any more blending. Little bits of this mid-pink coming down here, up and gently through into the distance here, across, leaving the blue showing through. But if you make a mistake, this is so forgiving, this technique, because if I make a mistake I can come back and I can put the dark in again. You'll notice that I'm pressing a little bit harder now to get even brighter colour as the sun shines across these mountain tops. Look, it's instant mountains, look. They're there immediately. And I haven't finished them yet. This is just the sunlight reflecting warmly across these. I'm going to put some much brighter colours in just a moment across these to really give you the feeling of these mountains. We'll bring that happening down through here as well, just lightly through, just across the surface of these fields here with this pink. Just letting the surface of the paper take the pastel on to get this feeling of the pastel going through there. I'm going to take some very, very light cream and let the mountains catch the sunlight just on the surfaces here as the cream comes through on some of these mountains. Don't want too much of it, because I'm going to go to white, but not white chalk, white pastel. And finally, when these mountain tops really start to pick up these lovely bits of light across the snow, look. And look how easily we've got our lovely sky and our mountains coming down now. But I didn't just use white for the snow. I put my reflected colours from the sunlight on first, and then left my white, and I'm leaving my darks until the end. But look how we can get this lovely effect of the snow there. There's a little building down here. There's some little houses down there which are slightly stronger. So I'll take a bit of deeper orange and pinks here and we'll just start to put those in. A little bit more warmth into that, so a little touch of red and orange into there. And look, the landscape's well on the way. Now, as we've already got this greeny tint here, I'm going to just use my finger to just soften that a little bit. Let's take some green and just hint at the fields here, just across the surface of the paper, because the paper underneath is holding this other fixed pastel with the water very nicely. Right the way through here, just letting the pastel smudge across the top. We'll come back into the background here with a little bit of green as well, just onto the where the trees are there, through the buildings, through the background trees here. See how easy this is? We've almost lost our branches here, so we're going to come back in a minute with the China-graph pencil. I want to show you how we can use that across this. And we've got snow down here, so let's take my cream. I want to bring that across some of these fields as the light shines across. We're going to put the dark trees back in again. We can still see where they are. Across here, coming down through. And there's light on the side of some of these trees here. I'm going to just use my pastel to tickle up there for the edge of these branches and in between here. Just to give you a simple technique today. There's a post there, there's a post here which we've lost. Bits of branch coming up and through. A little bit of this cream coming into the distance here. Just finding these surfaces, just tickling them in. Maybe a bit more cream back in there on the mountain. I can put it back in whenever I want. I can go back there now. This is not the best of the compositions, but it's just giving you an idea, isn't it? Down here we've got snow coming all the way along this line of where the posts are here. Leaving that blue at the bottom. And I'm going to bring that line broken through in between these little trees here, letting the snow just blow through between the trees down through here, and I'll make that edge slightly broken as well, as if the grasses and twigs are coming up into it here. There we go. Now a little bit of snow just catching down amongst the distant fields. And across here. And we've almost got this photograph now. As that comes down here again. Little bits of snow up through there. Now back to our darks again. Now I could use the brush, but I want to show you a technique now where I am going to use the brush. But let's just go back to my Chinagraph pencil first of all, just to show how we can use that even over. I mean, this photograph is this other print is much darker, look. So if I want to make this even darker here now, I can take the pencil and go back into here and really start to draw, because most of it is fixed, these lines up and through. Now, what I'm going to do now is show you how I can use the pastel very finely as well. But using pastel over this is going to be quite difficult, isn't it? Because a very thick, heavy pastel to get such a thin line is not going to be an easy job at all. Got those posts that are coming down here. Some of these lines and branches are coming right into this darkness down here, up and through. Just to give you the effects of this. But this is black, and I don't tend to use black much, I tend to use more pure colours. But let's just see how we can do just that. So there we are, look, there's the Chinagraph pencil giving us our work over the top again, if we want to use that. But equally, I want to show you now is how we can use the versatility of the brush and water. If I take now some lovely deep purple, and I put that onto here, through here, look how lovely that goes on, and a very deep blue in with that, because I want to mix a deep blue purple. Now I can use those fairly thinly, just by using the edge of the pastel. I can start to make some of these branches, and I even need to go a bit darker into the background here as well, where these little pine trees and things are. So while I've got this dark pastel in my hand, I'm going to just put some of those darks back into the background there against the mountains to make that ridge of pine trees there. And there's a few little darks going on back into the shadows here in the mountains as well. So wherever we see, how we're getting to, we've done our mid-tones, now we're going back to the lights and very darks. Back here, and it goes all the way along here as well and behind the scenes. There we go. But this is what I wanted to get to, these darks here is what's more important at the minute. I'm going to make them very strong just through here. What I wanted to show you is how we can use the brush now with water to paint much more thinly, finely. It was very difficult with those very heavy pastels. So if I take some of this water and mix it onto my brush, I can start to bring these shadows up. Look how thinly I can paint them. These, not shadows, these branches. This here, with these trees here for instance, I can bring them up through here, and I can use the water and bring that dark pastel up and through to get the effect of these twigs. Even back here I can make that thinner if I want to. Let's look at that, look at those deeper branches, look how I bring those twigs right up and through there with a fine brush now and water. So I'm not saying the composition is wonderful or the picture is wonderful, I'm simply showing you techniques, and you wanted something fairly easy to do. This would be fun for you to experiment with, and I'm sure you can find better pictures to use than I'm using here. Even these distant trees, look, I can come back in with water into them, and I can just blend them in and make nice tree shapes right into the background there. I can even come down to the trees here I've still got that on my brush, and I can actually pick up from elsewhere and bring it into the picture. So we're picking up these colours from behind, adding them in. There's a couple of nice fir trees just here. We'll put those in darker. A bit more deep pastel into here, so that I've got some lovely, a well of pastel to use if you like. I've got a nice well of mixture of dark pastel there. I could even put a bit of black pastel in there if I wanted to. I'll go really dark, just a bit of black into it, look, and mix that up. I can then drag it out into my branches here, through, right up and through here, coming down and through into the snow back here. Or I can pick it up and I can bring it back in, and as I was doing earlier, I was just about to paint these fir trees in back here. Right down, dark behind there. So we're literally painting with pastel, although we're using a brush. Anyway, this is just giving you this technique, and it's something that I've got many more films on here, and you can see in much more detail than this, with possibly nicer compositions. But look at the effects we can get. These trees going back into the background down there. Yeah, how we can use water and pastel together and they will be fixed. Now, I need little bits of bright highlight here and there, maybe. So we'll just look at those. See these bits of building here that we lost in painting. Just bring those in a bit more. And those distant houses just catching there, the red against the light. Nothing to say you can't use stronger, deeper colours. If I want to come into here, I could start to use a bit more green into it here and there if I wanted to. But we'll leave that one. Right, let's move on to the tinting of this lovely light one here now. And as I was saying, we can use the cheaper pastels now for this. So I'm going to take some very light blue and just gently take it across the surface of this white chalk. And you'll see that the white chalk is taking on the pastel quite nicely. But it will be a much paler picture. And to blend that in beautifully softly. Right up into here and through. And then we can take some of this lovely turquoise. It's happening down through here, and blend that up into there as well. The lovely effects we can get. Just softly blending into the white chalk on the pastel paper. And right up into here, again, more of that lovely turquoise blue. So these are the cheaper inscribes. I'm not going to go very far working like this, but certainly would wear down quite quickly. Leave some sort of slightly pinky clouds in between here. That earlier bluey pink. I would go a little bit stronger with my blue. Up into here. Again, just blending into the white chalk. Use my fingers to give directional strokes. Look and get these beautiful effects of cloud in the sky. Go a wee bit pinker with the clouds down here. A little bit of a mess on them there, don't worry about that. Coming right down to the mountains here. Pink just coming into there. Remember, we can come back with the white chalk at any time and blend in with the white chalk again if we want to. lovely delicate effect we get. Even a little bit stronger with the blue up here if we want. Just take a little bit of deeper blue and just blend that in there. Really softly blending in these colours, losing any marks. And I can come back over those if I want as well. If I can get that colour in there, we've got just this soft layer of the pastel working in. I can come back with that lighter blue again and blend that in across those. So look at those lovely effects we're getting there. A swirling cloud up into there. Come down here and we'll start to get the light blues reflecting down here. We'll leave the white chalk behind at the moment. Get down there, and again I'm going to softly blend those back in. Then start to come in with the slightly stronger blues. We'll use that one we were using earlier up here, this lovely ultramarine blue just here. Across the tops of the mountains at the edges here. Going right down through there, into the mountains here. Just again blending in so that they are ever so gentle. Blending in softly down here. Right up to that edge of that mountain there. It comes down through here. Right through into these trees. Called a deeper blue. Darker, deeper blue coming back here. Blending softly into this white chalk. And we'll start to make slightly harder edges there. Look for the edges of these trees into the distance. These pine trees just coming up here. Slightly harder edges. Little marks to the trees. And I'm going to start putting some green into that as well. A hint of green into these, amongst these trees here. Just blending them in. Again, I can use my finger just to blend them down and through. And that green's coming all the way down here into the base of this edge of this hedge is coming up here. Okay, I'm going to just blend that through and in into these light areas here. I want a bit more of the pink happening up here. There's a bit of mauve coming into these edges. A little bit of warmth into there. Before I start putting lights back in again. Now the white in this is not going to be very strong because it's very hard. We can't put the white on in a very thick way. Just need to come back in with a bit more blue around this mountain, otherwise the white's not going to show at all. So I just need to come back across there with a bit more of that blue just into the mountain sides here. It blends down into there. And we shan't be able to see the white of the snow against it. Now back to that white again. I'm going to need a little bit of cream here as well. And I'm just going to put in some white pastel, though the white chalk was already there, to give a little bit of brightness now to the edges of the snow here. See the difference there now? A softer pastel would show much more against this. We can just manage with these, look. I need a very, very light cream reflecting in the snow as well here. Very, very light cream just happening down. Get the feeling of sunlight just coming, just ever so gentle touches. As I haven't got a very light cream in this colour, we're going to have to use the white with it. That gives us that. Some of that cooler blue is reflecting into the shadows of the mountain here. Just a bit of that cooler blues going on back into these shadows here. There we go. Now we're going to come down to the foreground more, and we've got these pine trees coming up. One coming up here, they're coming through and up into here. And with the harder pastels we can do slightly sharper edges than with the softer ones, so it's a bit of fun we can try in just a moment. And again I can just soften them in my finger, a little bit of dabbing here and there just to get the feeling of these all-round trees. Get these layers then of trees going back. Slightly warmer blue, warmer green into that I think. A moment. Stronger, warmer green happening here to lead the eye in. That's what I was saying about warmer colours in the foreground and bluer, cooler colours in the background. Like I say, I've got lots of other demonstrations on my channel that you can look at, and better compositions, and you can choose from any of them. See how I just tickle these things in and soften them back in to get the effect of that distance there. All these little bits of tree coming up. Now I can use the harder edge of the pastel to start to put some closer branches and twigs in.